Yep. Back to the hip hop side of things.
Yes, for sure.
Was that some bomb ass dinner?
Same.
You said what?
Nah, it was I had some bomb ass dinner too.
What you have?
Some baked pork chops, some string beans, white rice, and gravy. It was great. It was
Okay.
great.
I had some baked ribs, some collard greens, and some stuff.
Nice. You be making dinner like you eating like it's Thanksgiving time. Every day is a feast. You know what I'm saying? Every day is a feast for you, yo.
Yeah, tomorrow's taco night. We'll make me some bomb ass tacos.
Oh boy.
Call it Mexican night.
It's crazy, B. Top five Janet,
You
yo,
said
you
what?
missed the live stream, bro. You gotta wait till next week for that.
Sam said you like Tita Fuente.
Nah, I'm not into him. My mom love all that Spanish music.
Yeah, as soon as I finish up this review, I'm gonna call it a night. Shot it. Yeah, Ronnie, I fuck with Duran Duran.
They cool.
You know, Logic dropped a new album.
I heard it already. I already heard it. It's out already.
You heard me?
Yeah, I heard it.
Yo, what you think?
It's dope. I like it. You got RZA on there. You got Noah Jones is on that. Is on the album. Yeah, you coming out with some solid albums now. You know what I'm saying? You got Vinyl Days last year. You got this one. I definitely like what he's putting out. He got an album with Dilla. He said that it hasn't dropped yet.
That should sound interesting.
I think he gave the beats to It was somebody gave the beats to though. Well, I think it was Boldy James. I think Boldy James is coming out with the album instead. But Logic have his own album with Dilla that he said he might release it or he might not.
All right, I might stand about 5 more minutes. Sam was asking if you've seen Busta Rhymes live.
What is it with these questions, Sam? Why you asking me weird shit tonight? Stop being nosy.
What is going on with my charger, man? What the fuck? You got any of these albums, right?
I got the first one.
Okay, cool. I got the second one. Shoot some beat roll up high school. Oh, my charger's acting up. Okay, there we go. Now it's charging. Okay. You gonna watch Creed 3?
Yeah, I'm gonna see it eventually. Heard it's getting good reviews already.
Right, people are saying it's amazing.
Yeah. What is this? Ask Try Question Night? You know this is Reggie's live stream, right? Y'all should be asking Reggie's questions too. What's going on here?
They want to get to know you.
What do we need in the draft? We need a receiver. That's what we need. We need a receiver. We need to not sign Daniel Jones to $40 million because he's not worth it. I wouldn't sign him to that money. We need to keep Saquon, even if we got to put the franchise tag on him. That's what we need. A receiver and keep Daniel Jones under 40 million, as well as Saquon. Maybe even a tight end also would be nice. That's it.
And there's that.
Come on, y'all ain't got no questions for Reg? Like, what do you have for dinner or something?
Right.
No. What did you wear? Did you wear any sneakers today, Reg? What was your sneakers? What type of sneakers did you wear today?
I had my red Nike Air Forces and shit.
Ah, I like that. Air Force Ones?
Air Force Ones.
Red Nike Air Force Ones. They all red or like they what? Red and white?
Red, white, and black.
Nice. You know, Reg is a sneakerhead. Y'all. I don't think they know that.
Yeah, I showed my sneakers on Instagram before.
No, but I mean like on here though. We ain't do like a sneaker live stream or anything like that.
No, no, we didn't.
What's the most underrated Jimi Hendrix song of all time?
Now this is a question I like. On top of my head, you got me floating.
Okay. Which Busta Rhymes song do you think is underrated? You got ready?
In the ghetto in the ghetto.
That was a good one. That's the one with Rick James on it.
Yeah.
That one was good. That was a good one. You got a lot of underrated
Al-
joints to me.
Yeah, I need to get the Band of Gypsies album.
Yeah.
All right, I'm ready to start whenever you are.
Let's go.
All right, what's up, you two? How's everyone doing this lovely Thursday morning? This your boy Reg in the building. I got my homeboy Trial with me,
What up?
and my first review back in the first review of this year. I think we're gonna do Long Island's own Leaders in the New School. We're gonna do a double review on their the only two albums, excuse me, A Future Without a Past
Yes.
that came out in 1991, and we're also gonna do the Time album that also came out in 1993.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Of course, we're going to start off with Leaders in the New School Future Without a Past. You know, Leaders in the New School consists of members Busta Rhymes, Charlie Brown, Cut Money Milo, and Dinko D. You know what I'm saying? Futures of the Past came out on July 2nd, 1991, and it came out on Elektra Records. Singles I was known for are Sob Story, Case of the PTA, and the International Zone Coaster. It consists of producers Leaders in the New School, which Busted Charlie and Dinko did the production on this too. Cutman to Milo, Eric Vietnam Sadler, GB to Johnny, and John Gamble. And no guest appearances, just them. Yeah, so actually no, scratch that. It has Cracker Jacks, Rumpeltuskins, and Collie Weave and shit like that, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So yeah, but we've been talking about doing this each album for a minute. This leads to the new school. You know how we always do. We're gonna talk about how you got into the group.
Oh man, I was in junior high when this album came out, '91, and just being like a fan of native tongues whole collective and leaders reminded me of the native tongues. They just had that camaraderie, or so it seemed.
Yeah.
You know, they were just about beats and rhymes and having songs that people could relate to. When you look at Case of the PTA and talking about the relationship between parents and teachers, and I definitely could I definitely know what they talking about with that song, and having just being in junior high at that time, and having certain teachers that your parents would get along with. They call each other on the phone and they asking about how you doing in class and all that, and that one really hit close to home. I'm like, I definitely know what they talking about with that song, and having like having just like four dudes that could spit. You know what I'm saying? Like back and forth, and having the choruses that people could sing, could say, sing along to, and having a lot of energy on stage, and you know what I'm saying, like that. They were just dope. You know what I'm saying, and then having Buster just took off once he left the group and appearing on different songs and remixes, whether it was Flavor in Your Ear remix or SWV You're the One remix, and appearing in movies and stuff. He just definitely one of the best solo artists ever to come from any group, and he just took off with his solo career. When he dropped Woo Ha, and Everything Remains Raw, and Put Your Hands on My Eyes Could See, and you know what I'm saying. And I like the fact that even when he was solo, even with all the tension and the drama between him and Charlie Brown, that he still included the group on his projects. He didn't have to do that. He could have said, "Fuck y'all, I'm gonna go be a star on my own." And he
Right.
still remained loyal to them. Had them on the first on the coming. He had them on Anarchy. Um, and he's always been loyal to the group, and many years we've been hearing like, oh, they're gonna come back together and do a reunion album. It never happened, but he's remained loyal to that group. And I was a huge fan of Charlie Brown, really. Like, I didn't even think Buster and I know it wasn't planned for Buster to go solo. It was just something that happened, but I was more of a fan of Charlie Brown in the group. 'Cause I felt like if any of them had the potential to be a huge solo artist, it would have been him, and that didn't happen. You know what I'm saying? Even with Dinko was dope too in his own right. I think he was underrated in the group, and he didn't. I know he put out like some stuff later, like years later, but you know what I'm saying, he didn't pan out as like a big solo artist from the group. But they collectively with Milo in the group and everything, they were just dope. You know what I'm saying? The production was just dope, and the bars, and they just reminded me of good times in hip hop at that time. When we had, like I said, when we had the Native Tongue Collective with De La and Tribe and Jungle Brothers, and you know what I'm saying, UMCs were still out at that time, and we just had groups that was putting out great hip hop. You know what I'm saying, and it wasn't what I'm saying, it wasn't like anybody was trying to be street, or they had beef with so and so, and you know what I mean, and that was like the early years of, before like the real golden era really started. This is like early '90s, before we had the Snoop and Dre's, and we had the boot camp clicks and all that, and the woos, and it was just a different time early on back then, and it's definitely a album that I grew up with, and they were just different. Like, they just had their own lane. Like, nobody sounded like them. They style of dress. It was like they were wearing the hottest shit too, but it was like nobody sounded like them on the mic. Nobody sounded like Dinko. Nobody sounded like Milo or Charlie, or definitely not Buster. But Buster became that guy that you have to have last on your track. If you were doing a
Right.
remix or a cut, you had to have him last. That's why he's last on Scenario, because he had like probably the best verse on Scenario. You know what I'm saying? Now, Flavor in Your Ear is a different story. I know you love his verse on it. I think Biggie had the best verse. That's just me. But like Buster, you had to put Buster. If you had a posse cut, you had to put Buster. He should have been on. When I think about it now, he should have been on Don't Curse. I think he would have had a great verse on that Heavy D joint. You know what I'm saying? Because you had
Yeah.
Tip on here, you had Kane, you had Puba, G Rap. I think Buster would have killed that joint. But like, when you think of like posse joints and remixes, I always think Buster. Buster got to be on that. You know what I'm saying? And he just destroyed tracks that he was on. But it's a shame that leaders really didn't last long. Like, I felt like this was a group that we could have had like 5, 6 albums from them. You know what I'm saying? And you know, each one could have blew up huge, you know, solo wise, that just didn't happen. But you know, for the two albums they gave us, they definitely you know, made their mark in you know, in this genre.
Yeah, I agree about that. Um, I pretty much got into them. I don't really have a story, but just listen to Busta Rhymes and stuff like that, and then looking up the fact that he was in the group before, it just caught my attention and shit too. And pretty much what I think about leaders in the new school, they're very hard to put in a group, in my personal opinion, because one can say that, and a lot of people think that they're part of the native tongues. No, they were not part of native tongues. You know what I'm saying? They were just very like close collaborators and shit like that too. You know what I'm saying? Like you can pretty much put them more in like more. They they kind of remind me a little bit of organized confusion, just by how unorthodox they can go. But at the
Right,
same time, they're not unorthodox to the fact that they're not mainstream. They're not mainstream, if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying?
right.
Um, I definitely feel like they were very influenced by native tongues, especially because Busta and Q-Tip were very close
Yeah.
and stuff like that too. A little trivia: I think Busta was originally supposed to have been a member of Tribe Called Quest too. Not a lot of people
I
know
would
that
say that.
shit.
Yeah. There's
Yeah,
there's an interview that came out. Shout out to Keith Shockley because he actually follows me from the Bomb Squad. He put up a video yesterday of him and Hank, his brother, with Buster, and Buster's telling the story how it was Chuck D that gave them their name, right?
yeah,
And
hmm
they had to actually battle young black teenagers for the name. They
yeah. I
had to
heard
that
about that
like
story.
yeah, they had to battle them like, and whoever lost, they was gonna get a different lane. Like imagine if YBT had beaten LONS for Leaders of New School name. You know what I'm saying? So they had to actually like battle each other in like a cipher to get the Leaders of the New School name from Chuck D. You know what I'm
That's
saying?
crazy.
And then they obviously they won, and Chuck D later named the other group Young Black Teenagers. But I thought that was a fascinating story.
Yeah, I heard about that story years ago too, which I felt like that was very interesting as well too.
Yeah.
But but yeah, man, they definitely. It's crazy because I feel like they needed one more album to really. I feel like they had
Yeah.
at least one or two more albums left in them and shit like that because
Mhm. I agree.
I feel like with the first album was definitely more. It was more comedic. One thing that reminds me of the first album, it kind of reminds me of Juice. If Juice
The
was
soundtrack.
not, no, just the movie in general.
Mhm.
Just like the feel good nature of Juice and shit. Because if Juice was not all about murder and stuff like that too, you know what I'm saying? It kind
Right.
of that feel good growing up, growing up in New York, high school kind of feel to it, and not just necessarily New York, just high school in general and stuff too. And
Right.
as a black male and stuff too, you know what I'm saying? But then once we get to the Time album, like you can feel the anger. Like it was just pretty much
Hmm.
like
It's a different mood.
a different mood and stuff like that. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? 'Cause you can tell they were very influenced by like what was going on with Death Row because a lot of East Coast cats.
Hmm.
Like once Chronic and Doggy Style was coming out, most of them wanted to change up their steeds and shit like that too. And we've talked about this plenty of times before.
I don't.
Not like
I know people say that, but I don't. I never felt that way. I just felt like the East Coast was gonna do what they were doing, and West was doing what they were doing. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
If anything, like you mentioned when we talked about the Roots and the Roots wanting to make you know, Ill Def Half Life, like when like they heard what the Mob Deep album or whatever. You know what I'm saying? And they wanted to have like harder production. I never felt like the East was trying to compete with the West like that. They were just the artists over here was gonna do them, and what the West was doing, they were doing them. You know what I'm saying? I mean, if that's why Leaders did that with the second album, I think they were wrong for doing that, because you can't. Dre is in his own lane. Snoop is in his own lane. You can't compete with what they doing. You have to focus on what you doing. You know what I'm saying? And I never got that feeling that there was artists over here trying to do what they were doing.
Yeah, I think the thing is like what I mean by the death row syndrome, because you know when it comes like a certain genre of music, there's always that one album that takes the game by storm. And when the Chronic came out, like listen to like an album from 91, 92, and then listen to the album like from like 93. Like I'm not saying that the East was biting from death row. I'm not saying that indeed, but they wanted something to compete with that gangster rap that was coming out. They wanted like something more harder edge, if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? So
I don't think it worked for them to do that, because they wasn't that type of group. They wasn't those type of artists. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like okay, like the UMCs is a perfect example. When they went from Want to Grow and Blue Cheese to their second album, they tried to come out hard and it didn't work for them. That's not them.
Yeah.
The label, if anything, had that input in like, oh, well, if gangster rap is what's trending, you're gonna try to sound like these artists from the West Coast, and it didn't work for them. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you look at Kid and Play.
I definitely hear you.
If you look at Kid and Play, they never tried to change their sound, no matter whatever they were in. They stayed.
Well,
you feel like they changed them?
The House Party 3 soundtrack kind of had like a more boom bap feel to it compared to the first album, and I like that sound.
I mean, like just the 3 albums they put out, it was all Kid and Play. They didn't try to change because of whatever was trending, and Hammer was big and Vanilla Ice. They didn't try to change up to sell records. They stayed on course and put out their own music.
True. All right, but let's get started with this review. So, Leaders of the New School, for those who don't know, they were a hip hop group coming straight from Long Island, consists of members Busta Rhymes, Dinko D, and Charlie Brown. You know what I'm saying? They all met pretty much like when they were growing up and shit like that. You know what I'm saying too. And they formed, and they pretty much got their big break when they opened for Public Enemy. And like Try mentioned earlier, Chuck D was the one that gave Busta Rhymes his name. He named him after the famous football player Buster Rhymes and whatnot too. And so he also mentioned that they had to battle young black teenagers for the name and stuff like that too. So fast forward to I think 1990, excuse me, they made their first appearance on Wax on the compilation Rumbalot Electra's 40th anniversary with the song Mount Airy Groove. And that was also like the only hip hop track on the album. You know what I'm saying? So that got them a lot of praise and attention and shit like that too, you know what I'm saying? And so, you know, around this time too, they pretty much 1991 was like a busy year for them and shit like that too, because to further their name, they appeared on Tribe Called Quest's classic single Scenario and shit like that too, on the Low End Theory, which that single was released in 92 and stuff too, but you know, that single pretty much put them more on the map, got them more hype and shit like that. And of course, we all know Busta had one of the best verses on that fucking track. That verse and even the remix on Scenario, I feel like his verse was pretty good as shit too. You know what I'm saying? And so that same year in 91, they dropped their album. They dropped this album and shit like that too. A Future Without a Past. And when you're looking at this record right here and stuff like that, it's pretty much like a concept album where it's like pretty much a day in school and stuff like that too, you know what I'm saying? Like they pretty much split the album from like homeroom, and then you go all the way to lunchroom, and then you also have after school. and stuff like that too. Which I like the way that they did it. See, Kanye wasn't the only one that did like them school themed albums and shit. These motherfuckers
That's how they
did it
broke it
first.
down on the cassette. The cassette, it was like broken down in sections. So you would
Yeah,
have like homeroom would be like Case of the PTA, and after lunchroom would be like Sob Story, and
yep,
you had after school would be like Show Me a Hero. So like and then like the songs have meaning to them too. You know what I'm saying? So it's
exactly.
like when we talk about Show Me a Hero with the school bullying, that's after school. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times kids got bullied after school. You know what I'm saying? So I like the way that they broke it down with this album. It had like a school theme for it.
Yeah, I definitely feel like conceptually wise, it definitely broke it down unique and stuff like that too. You know what I'm saying? So, just letting everybody know, both albums have 17 tracks and stuff like that. So, you know how we gonna fucking do? You're gonna talk about the first track, which is Homeroom, and Homeroom pretty much starts off with like these kids chanting "The whole world is watching," "whole
Right.
world is watching" and stuff like that. And then
Mhm.
you had it leads into the group, and they're talking about defying girls and stuff like that. Which in high school, when you just getting in there, you talking about that girl over there looking all sexy and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? They want to get with that shit. This guy talk. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
yeah, it definitely set the whole tone of the album and shit like that too. You know what I'm saying? I fuck with it.
Yeah, you got like kids in the background, that you would have at any school, and they talking about smoking and getting something to eat, and just the regular talk you would have at school. Whether it be in the morning time before class, or during class, or at lunchtime after class. At gym. I liked it.
Yes, yeah. Track number two, Case of the PTA. One of the most signature songs in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? Very, very, very dope track right here. Just pretty much just symbolize the whole sound and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Pretty dope beat too. You know what I'm saying? It's just another case of that old PTA. Like very, very, very dope
PTA.
track. I love it.
Fire. That is a classic song. I love that piano loop. I think
What
the
up,
piano
Jalen?
loop is
We
like
just we literally just started the review.
Jalen was good, bro. Back again. That's the homie right there. Show him love. Um, the piano loop is everything for me. Like with that whole song, and like I said, like just them discussing like the relationship between your parents and your teacher. You might have had like a teacher like first grade or in junior high school where they became cool and so cool to the point where they exchanging numbers. I went through all this. Like first grade, my grandmother, she used to bake cookies for my first grade teacher. That's how close they was. They would bake cookies for each other back and forth, and I'll be the one that had to take it to her. Like if my first grade teacher baked cookies for her, she would give me the cookies, and I go on the school bus and make sure that my grandmother got it, and vice versa. When I'm coming to school in the morning, she would make cookies for my first grade teacher, and I would take it to her. That's how close it was, and they always show I was good and looked out for me. And it was like that with certain teachers in elementary school. You know what I'm saying? So that whole like, and sometimes you wish that it wasn't like that, because if you fucked up in school and your parent was close to your teacher, you was gonna be in trouble. You know what I'm saying? And I know a lot of people could relate
Right.
to that. You know what I'm saying? But that's why I say that song I could relate to, because that happened to me more than one time. You know what I'm saying? Like my fifth grade teacher was he was cool and he looked out for me, but he had to pick my mom. My mom didn't like him like that. But because that they like formed a great friendship, he looked out for me and made sure that I passed. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes
Right.
that could be detrimental just of you in school. You know what I'm saying? But the that did, and even video like video where they're like in class and they running from security and all that. We did all that when we was in high school. We was running from security in the hallways and shit. You know what I'm saying? Sneaking in the library during a class we was supposed to be in. Cutting hooky and all that. I did all that. You know what I'm saying? And the antics of how it was back then. Like I don't think kids could get away with that shit now. It's a totally different era now. But back then it was like we got away with a lot. You know what I'm saying? And they all of them were energetic on this track, and I love the fact that Buster was talking about like being a badass, having detention. That like I still owe high school's detention. Like I didn't. There was many times I cut detention. Right? Like I'm not doing this shit. You know what I'm saying? Because if everybody else get out at like 2:30 o'clock, you gotta stay for detention, and you're not getting out like rush hour. I'm like, do you know the bus lanes how they run during rush hour here? It's crazy. I'm like, many times I cut, and I still owe them detention. So, like, you know what I'm saying? But we got away with shit like that now. Like like now, it's totally different. But yeah, this is a classic record.
Yeah, definitely a classic record indeed. All right, track number 3, we got Too Much on My Mind. Another very dope track right here. Just them talking about like the ills of being a teenager in urban America and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Just growing up, just at the same time, just trying to enjoy teenage life because once you're an adult, it's gonna be serious shit by then. You know what I'm saying? And they were lying when they said high school is gonna be the best years of your life and shit. So yeah, very dope track.
Even your teenage years to me are like the best years of your life. You know what I'm saying? Because at that time, like you're learning who you are. You're still growing and developing and finding out. Like a lot of times when you're a teenager, you grow into an adult and just figuring out who you are and what you like and what you don't like. And I think that's at least for me, it was like my best years. Of discovering like who I am and dealing with seeing who your real friends are at that time. I think that's important too as a teenager, seeing who's your real friends and who aren't your friends, especially when you're going through adversity or you're going through like family tragedy and they're not there for you. That's when you really know family and friends are during those years.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely hear your point
So
about
you
that
like the
shit,
track?
boss. Yeah, I like
I
the
love
track.
I
Yeah.
love this track. Too Much on My Mind. It's almost like they were talking like dealing with mental health and anxiety as well on this song, and hearing Charlie, talk about he had like the constant headaches, and he took a aspirin, like you said, like my mind ready to go. It's time. I gotta know where I'm going to LIFE, a constant headache for Charlie B. But I take an aspirin and sleep for a bit. Then I dream about making more hits. Wake up, it's not funny. The rent is due and I don't have the money. So you already know why he's stressed out. The rent is due, he ain't got the money. He has these constant headaches and he's taking aspirin for it. You know what I'm saying? And then he's making more hit records as an artist. You know what I'm saying? And then when you get to Denko's verse and he's talking about having problems, he can't go to the mall. He can't go to the mall to get fresh because he has no money. The bus is crowded. He having issues with his girlfriend. You know what I'm saying? I love that. Buster closing it out, and he's talking about sometimes you gotta stand up for self on your own. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you feel like you're all by yourself in a little corner with no one to help you. And this is a great
Right.
song. You know what I'm saying? And to me, it spoke to their mental health and juggling being an artist and their personal life as well. And I love the beat. I love the bass line for it. Definitely one of my favorite records on this album.
Yeah, this is definitely a very strong track indeed. Um, Next track, What's the Pinocchio Theory? This is a Charlie Brown solo joint and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Um, this one was okay. It wasn't really one of my favorites off this record and shit. I mean, it's mostly because of the beat and stuff too. I feel like Charlie Brown did his thing, but I didn't care for that beat and shit.
Right. Oh, I love it. I love the beat. Beat was fire, and like he had like those screaming ad libs that you know what I'm saying. He had like the screaming ad libs on the track. That was almost became
Yeah,
like a signature film. But we didn't hear enough of it on the second album. But on this album, he did it a lot. It's almost like when you hear Jadakiss do that laugh, that's like his signature thing now. That was the screaming ad lib from Charlie Brown that was like his calling. That was like his signature thing that he would do. And I love the beat. I like the sample switches on it, and he said I strive for the stars, and I caught it. Dinko D and Busta Malo saw it. 2 years of hell. Now it paid off to prove my rhymes. Yo, it ain't soft. I loved it. I thought it was a dope Charlie Brown solo record, and this is when I heard this song. This is what I envisioned his solo album would have sounded like. I think it would have sounded like with tracks like this, and he probably would have had his little joints for radio and all that. But I thought he had a lot of charisma and personality to be a successful solo artist, and unfortunately we didn't get that.
yeah, definitely a very strong. Definitely a point about that. All right, next track. Just when you thought it was safe. It's one of my favorites off this record and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Eric Sadler, he did the backdrop for this one and shit too. There was just all, going back. It's like one of those back and forth kind of records and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? Definitely fuck with the beat and shit. Very strong joint.
I love this song too. Like again, one of those songs that have a message with it, and you hear Buster, and the group, they talking about, just when you thought it was safe to go up in that woman raw without no condom. Now you got a disease that you got to worry about because it may kill you. And this is the time when hip hop started to acknowledge, the AIDS epidemic. Because we saw Magic had to retire from the Lakers because he announced he had the disease or whatever. And they talking about if you're gonna be a basehead, this is the consequences that's gonna happen when you become a drug head. You know what I'm saying? So this is another song
Right.
that it had like a powerful message in it. You know what I'm saying? And but it wasn't preachy at all. And they put it in it just like it was like a dope record that they just had in they like their aggressive tone and the bars. It wasn't preachy, but if you pay attention to the lyrics, that's what they were saying, and the beat was dope, the bass line. I think it's a great record.
Yeah, definitely feel you about that and shit. Then we're gonna get to track number 6, Lunchroom. Again, just transitioning to like the lunch period and stuff like that. You all up in the cafeteria. You know, to many people and shit like that, that might be the best part of the whole school day and stuff too. You know what I'm saying? Looking back now, that high school food was nasty as fuck. Looking back now,
Okay. We had the lunchroom time in elementary. We had some days that you know what it is like. When they switched up the menu, and people would like kids. There would be kids that they wouldn't. Either they were kids that didn't bring their own lunch, and sometimes they would eat the school lunch, and they only ate the school lunch when they had pizza. It was the best thing on the menu. But we didn't have pizza every day, so they'd be like once in the blue they would treat the kids to pizza. You know what I'm saying? And that's when everybody would flood the lunchrooms for the pizza because the pizza was just so good. The other days when they had like the chicken nuggets and the fake hamburgers, they wasn't around for that. He wasn't like for me. I started taking my own lunch to school at an early age. Like maybe I want to say like third, fourth grade. You know what I'm saying? So, and I never really ate the breakfast. Like I didn't when I showed up in the morning, it was just straight to class. I didn't really fuck with the breakfast like that. Once in a blue, but I didn't eat the school lunch. I had my mom would always make the my own lunch for me, because I just had it like that. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, school lunch during elementary school and junior high wasn't good. High school, we had to see. I went to private. I went to like a private high school for like a year or two. So during that time, you have to pay for lunch. So if you wanted like hamburgers or hot dogs or bagels, whatever, you have to pay for that. You know what I'm saying? And there'd be times when people didn't have money, and they would, if you had like some really cool friends, they would give you some of their lunch. Many times I would see like a lot of people or friends that they bought lunch, and if you didn't have anything, they would give some to you or whatever. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, the school lunch, even now, like I know they're trying to make school lunch in the schools healthier. It's not healthy for kids. You know what I'm saying? They don't have enough vegetables and fruit and stuff that they don't promote that. They promote only the fast food and the junk food. You know what I'm saying? So they trying to make and the school lunch should be healthier for kids anyway. So I mean, how do you expect to compete with kids in China if you're giving them junk food and fast food all the time? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's why the kids in China are far more advanced in when it comes to their studies than American kids because we're way behind this shit. Yeah, and it starts with your health and eating right, and they don't do that in public school. That's another reason why I started taking my own lunch because the school lunch wasn't healthy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't blame you and shit.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. But yeah, like the lunchroom skit was dope, and I didn't understand. Like they were playing Jamaican music. You know what I'm saying? And you had like some guys talking. I'm like, they playing Jamaican music. They playing Jamaican music like that in the school lunchroom. We wasn't allowed to do that. They didn't even want us making loud noises in the school lunch. We had to go outside for that. Like during the time when we were able to like play sports or chase girls around in the schoolyard. They didn't even want us to be too rowdy in the school lunchroom. I'm like, how they getting away with playing Jamaican music in the lunchroom? What lunchroom is that?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I definitely get your point about that and shit, you just gotta be careful what you eat and shit, you know what I'm saying? Track number 7, Sound of the Zeke Sound of the Zekers. Very, very, very dope track. This features Cracker Jacks, Bumpatoskins, and Carly Weed. You know what I'm saying? This was produced by Busta Rhymes and shit too. Very, very, very dope record.
This was cool. I didn't like the beat though. I thought the beat could have been better. I know at one point Jack and Rumpelstiltskin and Carly B, they were supposed to be like the offsprings to leaders. I think Buster was like look supposed to be like never came. Well, other than Rumpelstiltskins, I remember their first album, but I don't remember Cracker Jacks and Carly coming out with anything. But I remember he mentioned them when they were on Rap City. And actually mentioned those artists on there that they were supposed to come out under him, but they never came out with anything.
Yeah, I never actually got into Rumpelstiltskin myself either and shit too. So
Their
um,
album was. I mean, I
might
listened
check
to.
it out one
I
day.
never bought it. I remember. I remember hearing the album. The album. They were like you could tell they were like they were inspired by leaders. You know what I'm saying? But they wasn't leaders. But they came out with one album. But I haven't heard anything. I think I want to say like they're still on Instagram. I remember seeing an interview with Dinko D and like he had mentioned them like they like some of them like still on Instagram and shit.
That's interesting. So I'll try to check them out and shit though. All right. But you say all you have to say about Sound Seekers?
Yeah, it was okay. I just thought the beat could have been
Okay.
better.
Respect. Um, Track number 8, Sob Story. One of my favorite tracks that they've ever done and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? This one right here, it was just pretty much them, talking about, just being careless. Just motherfucking females like crying on your shoulder and shit like that. They did you wrong and stuff too. You know what I'm saying? Love that fucking beat and stuff too. From Eric Sadler. Definitely one of my favorite tracks that they've ever done and stuff like that. And possibly my favorite track off this album, but it's either this one or another one and shit too. But yeah,
Saying there's definitely this in Case of the PTA was like my favorite, and it was real melodic, but it had like a dope ass beat and bass line with it, and talking about like wanting to get fly with a car instead of walking, but it's like when they were walking, people were dissing them. But then once they got the fly whip, everybody was on their dick. It was almost like a Vapors type of song. You know what I'm saying? Like they caught the
yeah,
Vapors once they got the fly. Before then, y'all wasn't acknowledging them. You know what I'm saying? And I love Buster's verse, and he said, no shame in my game because that's how I got dissed. And when I would turn around, everybody gets pissed. And now I'm in demand, feeling all the glory. And when you rise, then and going, just remember that I know you and you know me. I love that chorus. That chorus we used to like sing that chorus in school, yo. You know what I'm saying? It's just like it just made it like went with the track. I love the video. You know what I'm
right,
saying? And yo, it's just dope, man. Like again, they don't make records like these no more. You know what I'm saying? Like a group that's not afraid to talk about when they were down and out and people treated them like crap. And then once they got the fly whip, everybody was feeling them, and you had all these fake friends around them. Like they don't make songs like this no more. Yeah, a lot of these artists now they too afraid to get to talk about shit like this, and it's a shame. You know what I'm saying? But like that goes to show you how versatile this group was. You know what I'm saying? And many
right.
many artists like that back then that they were just talking about real life shit that people could relate to. You might know somebody that went through shit like this in school and be like, yo, like look at him now, like yo, he got the flower. I remember when this nigga wasn't shit in junior high school. Now he got a Benz or he got it. You know what I'm saying? Now everybody's sweating him, and this is that type of song that people could relate to. You know what I'm saying? And I love it. I think it's a classic record.
You know what this kind of reminds me of? That recent incident with Michael B. Jordan, when this reporter said
Right,
how much,
right,
and
yes.
then when he had a checker saying, "But you thought I was corny in
Yeah.
high school."
And that chick used to be on Love and Hip Hop. I think she was dating Young Berg back then. Remember Young Berg with the Transformer
Yes,
medallion? She was dating him,
yeah.
and he
Oh
got
wow.
robbed for his chain or whatever. And I didn't even know because I know what's the name? One of the homies that told me about it on 80s and 90s, and I didn't see the video till recently. And like yeah, like she was like tried to play him, and he put her in her place. So I'm like yeah, go. That's good. I'm glad that he did that. That's what
Exactly.
he's supposed to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, look at me now, bitch. Like, look, you know what I mean? I'm directing Creed 3 and it's gonna blow up. I was Killmonger in Black Panther. You know what I'm saying? He was dating what's his name's daughter, Steve Harvey's daughter and shit. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like he's come a long way since The Wire. A lot of people forgot he was in The Wire. A lot of people forgot he was on All My Children back in the day as a teenager. You know what I'm saying? Like he's one of the best actors we got right now.
Right. Yeah, man.
You know?
And I'm gonna let you go on. I'm gonna catch up. I'm gonna use the bathroom right quick.
All right. Now we got track 9, Feminine Fat. Feminine Fat. Now this is a song right now that would have been probably outlawed. They probably would try to cancel culture the group for this song because of the message in the song and what they're talking about, feminine fat, and they're almost like a homage to what we call BBW women now. Big girls, big, large. That's what they were saying on the track, and I thought it was a dope song. It's a Buster solo record. I think he killed it. You had Buster, talking about getting with the bigger women. He said I like the girls that's miraculous, coco-licious, and voluptuous. Um, I loved it. I think it was again like it's just different shit that this group was bringing. Like artists back then were not afraid to talk about anything. They were delving into it. they deepen their artistry and they creative bag and giving us songs like Sob Story and Feminine Fat and Case of the PTA, and this was a dope record. But this record now, if this record came out now in this era, they would have to either change the title or they just couldn't release it because they would have got a lot of heat for this
Hey,
type of record. Yeah,
right.
you know what I mean. But it's a great record. I love it.
Yeah, Feminine Fat is one of my favorite records as well too. It's pretty much just an ass song, excuse me. Busta did his thing on the solo record and stuff too, you know what I'm saying? Just a little
Yeah.
early exposure to his greatness.
Mhm.
Track number 10, Transformers. Um Again, another very cool song right here. You know what I'm saying? They all did their thing on this one too. It's again pretty much just talking about fake people who switch up on them. Once they become famous, they're all up on your dick and stuff like that too. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, like
Yeah.
self-explanatory and shit too. You know what I'm saying? Pretty cool record.
I like it. It was cool. It's a cool record.
Yes, yeah.
I feel like it could have been so much more. Like if you gave this song to Busta, I think Busta would have made it a totally different record. Like he would have like took it to like the Transformers that we know, like the actual toys and shit.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I think they should have did like concept like that. If you're gonna name the song Transformers, at that time, Transformers is still huge.
Yeah, still huge and shit.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. Last skit on the album, After School. To me, the best beat when it comes to the skits and shit like that, it definitely had that basement reggae-esque kind of beat and stuff like that too. I liked it.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically like kids making noise in the background. And it's like if you at it's in the schoolyard, if you in class, the lunchroom, wherever, that's what you're gonna hear. You know, so it was cool.
Right. Track number 12, Show Me a Hero. This one is just pretty much about like, Buster overcoming and trying to fight his arch enemy or his bully and stuff like that. I mean, this one was okay and stuff like I like the build up and shit like that too. But
Right.
again, that I didn't care for that beat. Like once we started rapping, I feel like Buster did his thing, but that beat I didn't care for and shit.
I liked it. I thought the beat was fire, and like this is a song that if they had put this out now, it would have got a lot of publicity because they talking about school bullying and school bullying, no
Yeah,
matter whatever it's really now you have cyberbullying, which I never understood. I never understood how somebody could get bullied online and that affects them to the point where they kill themselves. How does that work? Like somebody that's getting cyberbullied, they don't think to like just unplug the damn laptop or get off your phone. I don't understand how that works.
I guess it's the
You know what I'm
public
saying?
ridicule
Like
from
like
some motherfuckers.
bullying back in the day. You know how bullying is back in the day. You know what I'm saying? We know how bullying is back in the day where, there might be some beef you have with somebody, they ready to fight you after, school lets out. But you saw them. Not when you online, you're talking to somebody from West Bubblefuck or in another country, and they bullying you to the point where you take your own life online. How does that work? I never understood. I think that's the most stupidest thing ever. You know what I'm saying? And I can't relate because that shit never happened to me. So I don't know what it is to go through that. But like from the outside looking in, and I'm like, how do people get cyberbullied? How does that work? Like you never think to like just shut off your computer or shut off your phone and ignore these people? How does that like they can't? I mean, the same way they talking shit to you, you can't talk shit back to them. I don't get it.
It's because some. It's because when it comes to some people and shit like that, because we're living in this day and age when technology is like the main component to like a lot of people's actions of today and stuff like that too. And there have been some cases when it comes to cyberbullying when some motherfuckers will take it so fucking far and shit like that. And it's just the fact that, because it's not just bullying somebody in your school. It's just like you're letting the whole world, like, let's just say somebody posted some naked pictures of like their ex girlfriend just to get back at them and stuff like that too. You know what I'm saying? Just making some, just you know how motherfuckers these days they have those memes and shit like that where they say this is what you look like and they put like a side by side picture and shit like that too.
Okay,
That's how some of
so when even if that's the case, when you wake up tomorrow morning, is that going to affect you the whole day because somebody put up a meme about you? That's what I'm asking. You know what I'm saying? Like Sam said, he got called a faggot. Now, if you got called a faggot online, is that going to affect your whole life where you decide to take your life because somebody online called you a faggot? I don't get it. You know what I'm saying? Like, explain that to me. Like, how does that work? You know what I'm saying? Like Reg, like yo, you know what I'm saying? You an artist, right? You may upload a song and somebody may be like, oh, I think I could make better music than Reg. Is that going to affect your day?
no.
You know what I'm saying? Are you going to lose sleep because, oh, this guy from fucking Kansas said he makes better music than you? Who cares? You know what I'm saying? How many people online don't fucking like me? I'm still here. Y'all can't get rid of me. You're going to have your haters. You're going to have your naysayers and shit. But that's not going to affect me tomorrow morning when I wake up like, oh, my God, people can't stand me. What am I going to do? I'm here. Y'all got to deal with me.
People try so hard to be liked. That's the thing.
That
Yeah.
should never, what people say online should never affect your life. That should never affect you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And like I said, like this is a song that if they now, I think this song would get a lot of attention. Like just the same way that Logic got that attention for the Suicide song, and a lot of people only know that song from Logic and nothing else. I think this is a song that leaders would have got a lot of attention for because it's still going on now. And on top of that, and back then we didn't have cyberbullying. Now we do. You know what I'm saying? So I like your dope ass song. Like I love the fact that they sampled the Kenny Rogers song. You know, you got to know when the whole know when to slow.
Yeah, I love that.
Walk away, know where to hide. I love that because they're talking about the bullying aspect. Like yo, face your fears. You got to face this person that have this beef with you. The same thing with if you remember the Frostlight song "Running," can't keep running away. The same thing. That was a classic record also. Shout out to Jay Dilla, rest in peace. Classic record. You know what I'm saying? And you have Buster saying, you know, instead I turned my head, walked away with no delay. I'd rather live to see another day. Sometimes you got to do that. Sometimes you don't even give the haters that type of attention. Sometimes you got to be the better man in this situation and walk away. Let them say whatever.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? I thought it's a great record. I loved it.
All right, next track. Trains, Planes, and Automobiles. You know what I'm saying? Of course, taking the name from the 1987 Steve Martin, John Candy movie. I didn't care for this song. I'll be real with you. I didn't care for this one. What about you, Troy?
Yeah, it was okay. I think it could have been better.
Yeah. All right. Next track, the International Zone Coaster. Again, I mean, it's no secret that I feel like the singles are some of the best work on this album, and this one is no exception as well too. You know, I mostly prefer the Yorm TV Raps live performance that they done and stuff like that. That was a very dope performance and shit too. Um, this one, again, it's like another early example of Busta Rhymes' energy and his fucking style. Again, Dinko and Charlie, they did their thing, but this one was clearly Busta's show right here and stuff like that. I really quote a lot from this album, but I am gonna quote some shit from this song and stuff like that too. Just the way he started it off and stuff like that, where he says, Oh my gosh, oh my gosh. It's a sunny day and the sky is bright. Chickens in the mist, everything is right. No need to make bets because I'm not a bookie. Today is the day my whole school plays hooky. Why? Because I called Dingle Brown, cut the mess, cut Mondo Milo, bring the sound. Like, he was just going in on this fucking track.
Yes,
Yeah, I get
yes,
like that. He stole the whole fucking show on that record. And that beat was produced by the Stimulated Dummies as well, too. So, yeah, this is
right.
a very strong track.
I love it. Dinko to me, Buster killed it. Dinko, I loved his verse. And he said, on the fourth day of school, Hooky wasn't here. Today's the first day of a brand new year. Cause girls is rubbing, butts around the room, fellas feeling good cause the gangsters boom. Zoom to the tune of a Sugar Plum tune. Me, Brown, and Buster gonna rock the mic soon. Loved his flow. That beat was fire. You know that if they have a video for this also, and there's a remix. I love
Yeah,
the remix also. The remix was fire.
that
I think it should
was
have been on
dope,
the
too.
album as well. Yeah, the remix was dope. Definitely. I don't know what a international zone coaster is. The title is just crazy, but the song itself was dope. I definitely enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's a very dope song and shit, too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I, some of these songs, I'm not gonna hold you. Some of the leaders of new school shit were just so trash. I don't even know what they were talking about, but I guess they were just like going in. They were just rapping just to rap and stuff like that too.
right,
Again, which is a reason why I can't really put them when it comes to like a lot of these groups. I feel like they were in a class by themselves and
right.
shit like that.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, man. Next track, "Teachers Don't Teach Us Nonsense." Very dope song. This song again might be another favorite of mine too. You know what I'm saying? And it's a very relevant song because it's talking about how you have the teachers who don't care about the job, especially when they're teaching in like some of the
Right.
like what I like call inner city neighborhoods and shit like
Bad
that
schools.
too.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and then
Yep.
you take a song, you take the song and you put it in today's context, especially with us when we were going through the pandemic, and then you were
Hmm.
having like a lot of teachers doing like virtual learning and stuff like that too, and then some of them were just
Right.
just being like they didn't even give a fuck and shit like that. They were just teaching
Hmm.
shit just to teach
Oh yeah.
shit, or just chilling and stuff like that too. And the children might not be getting the useful learning that they feel like they're getting. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I kind of felt like this track right here, again, was one of their best socially conscious songs, in my personal
Hmm.
opinion. And a little trivia, it was also based on the Philip Kunti song of the same name from '86 too. So yeah,
Oh,
very dope track.
yeah. That's a real thing that goes on that I had to deal with too. Just having teachers that they didn't give a damn about the curriculum and what they were actually teaching us, and we fell behind in certain subjects because of that, because they were teaching us the wrong shit. You know what I'm saying? And when you're an unpaid teacher and teaching for the zone high schools, as they call it, the bad inner city schools, they're not gonna give a damn. And once the teacher don't give a damn, why should the student give a damn? You know what I'm saying? I've been in classes where I've seen teachers just teach whatever the fuck. Meanwhile, you got students in the back of the class throwing like soda at them, paper, all kind of shit, and they could care less about your future and what grades you get. They don't. A lot of them don't care. It's all about that money for them. You know what I'm saying? And if they're getting below average, and then the student suffers in the end. That's why students decide to play hooky and cut class or not even come to school at all. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And again, this is it has a powerful message in the song. And I like how the guy is like breaking down each behavior issue for the members. Like, oh, Buster, he's the troublemaker. He's the one throwing spitballs in class and rhyming. And I like how they did that in the start of the song. And Charlie is saying, school is shaky, sometimes flaky, really frustrated and cheesy and cakey. That's how I felt. I felt like that about school for a very long time. You know what I'm saying? Because of having the underpaid teachers, I give a fuck. You know what I'm saying? And but you have Buster saying, read and write because it's evidence. Because teachers, they be teaching us nonsense. And I love the beat. It was fire. Great track. I wish they had a video for this also, because this could have been like a sequel to Cases of PTA.
Right. Well, this was a B-side. I think this was
Oh,
a
it's B side.
B-side too.
Okay.
It
Yeah,
was a B-side.
it fits. It fits. It fits with that song.
B-side wins again.
Yeah.
They had two very good tracks, and then they had this weak track, My Dingaling. This was a Dinko D solo track. My least favorite song on this record. Yeah,
I didn't like
they
this
didn't
one.
care. They didn't care for this.
It's not even the title. I just thought it's not even the title. I just thought the beat was just whack. You know what I'm saying?
I hated the chorus.
You know?
My Dingaling.
Yeah.
My like. And at first I thought it was. Oh, I was gonna say I thought it was at first them sampling the Chuck Berry song. Cause you know Chuck Berry, he did a song like that back in the early 70s called My Dingling, but you said something about Big Pun, right?
Big Pun did this song called My Dick with Tony Sunshine, and that was fire.
That was my favorite song.
That's on the Yeah Baby. Yeah, that's on the Yeah Baby album, and I thought that was fire. You know what I'm saying? But they just if they were trying to do a song like that, Dinko just failed with that one. I didn't care for it.
Yeah, man. But that Yeah Baby album, that's a dope. Like that's very underrated. I won't hear nobody mention that one. Definitely. Like that's pop hip hop done right. You know, that was his life after death, in my opinion.
Yeah. I think it's because I've heard so many rumors about, is it really a new album? Was it leftover tracks? It's really so he recorded it before he died.
Yeah, because he did an interview. He said for this album he wanted to take a more commercial route and stuff like that. So this was an actual album. It's not a posthumous album.
So it wasn't leftover tracks. Okay.
Nah, this was all real things he was working on before he died and shit.
Yeah, he left this a great album before he passed too, man. Like, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Great album.
Now the Endangered Species, those were like leftover tracks. That was like a leftover track / greatest hits, because you had I'm still a play like you still had some known pun tracks and stuff too, but yeah, man. I'm so glad we finally talked about that record too. Which we need to talk about the Terror Squad album too.
Talk about that. The first one was great. I love that one.
Right. Probably Cuban Links' unreleased album we have to talk about at some point.
24K. That was dope.
Yeah. Yo, Fat Joe fucked that album promotion up.
Well, he fucked up Remy's album too.
There's more
than one album he fucked up. There's more than one album he fucked up. He fucked up Remy's album also.
Oh, don't. We can do a whole video.
A whole video about that. Yeah.
Hell, I love Busta, but Busta fucked up a lot of Flip Mode Squad albums too. Like Lord Have Mercy was supposed to come out with an album.
Yep.
Rod Dig was supposed to come out with something after Dirty Harriet.
Papoose, and shit. His album.
Bro, don't even get me started on Papoose, man. Don't even get me started on Papoose.
Busta was looking out for himself. Like, you know, at one point Flip Mode had like 7-8 members. He didn't show none of them love like that.
Except Spliff. Spliff is the one
Except with Spliff. That Spliff is his right. But even with Spliff, I remember he had the mixtapes in the 2000s. He didn't come out with an album though, but he had mixtapes.
Right.
Why couldn't Spliff get a record deal? You know.
But I guess because some motherfuckers just didn't care for the labels themselves too. You got to also remember that.
That's true.
So you got to take some things into consideration.
That's true.
But Elektra Records
Rampage is his cousin though. Like, I would think if anybody you look out for is your own blood.
If I'm not, I think Rampage left the business altogether on his own. I don't know if I think, but it's been a while since we talked about those albums.
Chauncey, right? Chauncey got signed to Flip Mode at one point. He didn't come out.
I don't even know why he did that shit. Excuse me.
That's when he was beefing with Cisco. When he was signed with Flip Mode.
You mean beefing with Teddy?
Nah, he was beefing with Cisco too.
Really? I never heard
Yeah,
about that. Wow.
he had a beef with. I think they were like sharing the same woman or something like that. They had some beef over a woman, and he did like a
Wow.
he had some beef with Cisco. He put out a 12-inch produced by Primo, which I thought was weird. I'm like, Premier's working with Chauncey. You know what I'm saying? But he never came
Oh, he
out with
did.
nothing. It was like Busta just signing these people for what purpose? He didn't come out with Papoose. He didn't come out with Chauncey.
Write-offs.
He didn't come out with, you know what I'm saying? Like all of these people that signed the flip mode, he didn't come out with.
Yeah, most of them are just tax write-offs to be keeping a buck with you because that's what they fucking do. And you gotta also remember, Elektra Records, they screwed up a lot of rappers' albums. Pete Rock,
Yeah.
I, Brand Nubian had a lot of problems with Elektra Records too.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, so it's no surprise. Elektra Records, they weren't pop hip hop wise, they weren't popping like that. But
they didn't do that with Missy though. She was on
true,
Elektra.
well, Missy owned the publishing too. So
right.
Yeah. And yeah, so and at that time too, Elektra Records was kind of it was popular, like people was still keeping it alive, but it wasn't as known for hip hop as it was back in that time and shit. So and Missy was like their bread and butter.
Definitely.
Yeah. All right, last track. Where do we go from here? Again, another dope track right here, you know what I'm saying? And again, this is how you end up a concept album because, you know, it's pretty much just talking about how, where do they go from there, you know, after high school, you know, going to college and stuff like that, you know, finding a career and stuff like that too. And hell, I graduated from college like literally almost 2 years ago, shit, you know what I'm saying? It's about to even be the 10th anniversary, 10th anniversary of me graduating from high school and shit next year. So, you know what I'm saying? I'm still trying to get my shit together for the most part, you know, trying to get my life together. But at the same time, you know, it's just, you know, at the same time, just, you know, keeping at ease and just breathing and stuff, you know what I'm saying? So, because no one's not really going to have everything together or feel like they have everything together. It's just a lot of time and focus. So, that's what I got from this track right here. And the second half of the song, they just gave shout outs to like a lot of their homes and stuff like that too. So yeah.
It was dope. I love the beat and you know the second part of the song, they like beatboxing and giving shout outs to like Public Enemy and Tribe, De La and Rumpelstiltskins, everybody in the industry that they were friends with and that helped them get to where they needed to go as artists. And I thought it was a great way to end the album.
Yeah, definitely a very great way. Overall, this is a pretty good album. I'm not gonna lie, despite a little bit of filler, I feel like it was a pretty good album and stuff like that too. You know, it was a nice solid debut album to say the least and shit like that too, you know what I'm saying? I did feel like out of all the members and stuff like that too, you had I feel like Charlie Brown definitely was like proposed to be at that breakout MC, but like Busta's style was just sneaking up and shit too. You know what I'm saying? Necessarily, I wouldn't call this album or the Time album classic albums when it comes to the hip hop culture. But at the same time, I feel like both albums represent a good time capsule when it comes to, you know, the early 90s and shit like that too, because you can still feel like the native tongue's influence here and there. So I'm gonna give this record a four mics, in my opinion. I feel like a little bit of, I think it had like the only weak tracks I didn't care for really was that My Dingaling track and what was that other track? Give me a second.
Sounded
Strange playing automobiles. That's the only track I didn't care for. Everything else ranged from good.
I didn't care for those.
You said what?
Yeah, I didn't care for those two songs.
Right. And I'm gonna say this one. I'm gonna say one more thing about Leaders in the New School. Like, you can definitely see the influence on Cold Crush Brothers, Fearless Floor, that back and forth kind of MCing and shit like that too. You know what I'm saying? So the next album pretty much changed a lot. That's all I'm gonna say.
I think it's a dope, underrated forgotten gem that doesn't get a lot of recognition, and it should. I think people when they talk about Buster, they just go to his solo stuff and that's it. They totally ignore the
Yeah,
Leaders albums. But this was a great album. You know, the production, the songs, the messages in the songs, and the way that they did those songs without being preachy, the camaraderie with the group, you know, the back and forth mic display. Um, it was definitely a great album. Some song like for the most part, I love the album. There might have been like 3 or 4 songs like Sound of the Zeke because I didn't care. I didn't like the beat for that, and Transformers could have been
yeah,
better. You know, My Dingling that could have been better if not just scrap it off the album. Trains, Planes, and Automobiles. But for the most part, I love a lot of the records on here. You know what I'm saying? Feminine Fat and International Stone Coaster and what's the Pinocchio Theory, Too Much on My Mind, Case of the PTA, Sob Story. This was a great album. You know, I'm gonna give it 4 mics.
right.
It's definitely my favorite Leaders album because the second album I have issues with that album. You know what I'm saying?
Um,
I just felt like it's a when you hear this album and then the second one we're about to talk about, it's a drastic change with production, with everything that I loved about this album. I didn't hear it on the second album. You know what I'm saying? And I
you
don't know why.
tripping?
And I think it's because that you can hear the things wasn't the same with the group. You can they talked about having attention. You can totally hear it on that second album because it's a at least for me it's a big mood change. I don't hear that camaraderie on time like I did on this album. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And I think that's why I never bought it. I'm like, what is it that I'm hearing? This is not
Classic Buster
this is not
Rhymes.
Leaders. You know what I'm saying? It's different. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know what it was. It just you don't have to actually be in the studio to know that things was not right with this group when the second album dropped. You know what I'm saying?
Now
So
we'll
for me,
talk.
this is the best album, and I think it's more it's like if you love early '90s hip hop before the before the golden era, before Dre and Snoop and Wu and Boot Camp. When you love 1990 and '91 hip hop, this album has to be mentioned because
Right.
there's a lot of albums from '90 and '91 that don't get mentioned at all from both coasts. Main Source, Breaking Adams, that's a great album. That's their best album to me. Black Sheep
Mm,
first album, their best album to me. Leaders first album, they best. There's a lot of albums from those 2 years that don't get mentioned. Chi Ali, his only album, classic. A
yes.
lot of people don't. You have to be a real hip hop head to mention these albums, and I don't see a lot of people mention those albums. They mention the obvious choice, Death Certificate, and Tribe, Low End Theory. You know what I'm saying? But albums like this, they need to get mentioned more.
I agree.
You know what I'm saying? And it's a great album. So for me, I'm gonna give it 4 mics. It would have been a classic if those 4 songs were actually good, but I'm gonna give it 4 mics. But it's still my favorite Leaders album.
The irony is the Time album is my favorite. We're gonna get into that one.
A lot of people love
Um,
that one. I don't. I'm still. Y'all got to tell me why you love it. Don't just say you love it. I want to know why you love it because I don't see the comparison with the second one and the first one. I think it's a drastic change.
all right, all right. Well, Time, and AKA the Inner Mind's Eye, was released on October 12th, 1993. Of course, on Elektra Records. Again, Leaders in New School produced this. They had RPM, Raheem Sam, Sam Seaver. You know, he's from Downtown Science, Third Base affiliate, the Vibe Chemist Backspin. They came out with 3 singles: "What's Next," "Time Will Tell," and "Classic Material." Guest appearances include Cool Whip, Brittle Low, Capital S, Geronimo, Rampage, Blitz, Chanel, The Remedy Man, Pudge God, Collie Weed. And just let y'all know, all of those were from the 13 MC's Deep song. So right after the release of Future Without a Past, you know, everybody was like, paying more attention to Buster. They felt like Buster was like the breakout member. And around the time, between 92 and 93, Leaders in Music was slowly imploding and stuff like that too, especially when it came to Charlie Brown. Because, Charlie Brown pretty much and Buster came to blows a couple of times and stuff like that too, you know what I'm saying? And then also around this time too, Buster Rhymes was dealing with the death of his infant son. I think around 93 and stuff like that too. So yeah, man. And so by the time they were doing the Time album, like it definitely had like a more angrier kind of feel to it. And pretty much, Dante Ross, from Elektra Records, Tri's favorite guy right there. Um, Dante Ross, according to some people, was the true reason why the group broke up. And I've heard this come from even Lord Jamar himself, because mind you, Brand Nubian was signed to Elektra Records, and they had a similar issue when Grand Puba, went solo, because Grand Puba had like a lot of internal conflict with Brand Nubian, and the media wanted to focus him as like a standout member and stuff like that. Y'all check out the first 3 Brand Nubian reviews for more in-depth look on that and stuff like that too. You know what I'm saying?
Salute to the homie Blowers Tears. Salute, Unc. That's Uncle Freezy. Y'all follow his channel, Knicks at Night. Shout out to the New York Knicks. Let's go. We're on a great winning streak right now.
Yes.
That's the homie Blowers Tears. He said because Charlie Brown thought he was the best MC. Well, I said, I was more a favorite of Charlie Brown at that time before Buster. But then once Buster took off solo wise, like once he started doing like the features, I was like, yo, like he's gonna have a big solo career. I didn't think it was gonna be like big, like how it became, but yeah, that's the album. I was more of a fan of Charlie Brown at that time.
Yeah, I did feel like Charlie was the more MVP on the first album, but I felt like with this album, it was more of the emergence of Buster,
right,
and the style that we know Buster for today and stuff like that too. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And we all remember the infamous Yo MTV Raps episode when Fab Five Freddy was interviewing them and stuff like that, and Charlie Brown was pretty much angry. And so after they showed like a video, there was like, they had to show a clip of Buster and Charlie arguing, and Buster was like, don't film this beat and stuff like that too. You know what I'm saying? So they pretty much broke up live on the MTV Raps, and yeah, that was the end of Leaders of the New School as we know it. Well,
yeah,
minus the appearance they did on The Coming, and they did Bury the Hatchet. They did Bury the Hatchet like around the 2010s, and they did perform right. Scenario, Busta Rhymes and stuff like that too. So thank God for that. Thank God for that they buried the hatchet and shit too. You know what I'm saying? Because they were beefing for years.
Do you think they had to bury the hatchet because Busta blew up so big, or was it like a mutual thing? Like, oh, we were kids back then, we're grown men now with families. Let's bury the hatchet once and for all.
I think it's more of the kids and stuff like that, and how they were new to handling fame and shit too. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And also just the time like when Buster was going through a lot with his son's death and stuff like that too. Maybe he wasn't, like I said, this is not a factor. Maybe he wasn't fully expressing how he felt, and he was just putting more work in the studio because that was more like his comfort zone and stuff like that too, you know what I'm saying? Because you remember when Prince his son died, right. I think it was a stillborn, and he was in the studio a lot.
But I mean, he was doing that even before you met Mayte.
Yeah, but he came out with the Emancipation album, which was like that 3-disc album, and stuff like that too. And at that time, he was getting more cool with Larry Graham, and Larry Graham wanted him to be like Jehovah's Witness and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, man. But yeah, that's pretty much the making of the album. This is the album cover right here. You know what I'm saying? Just have Skull, like pretty much very.
It's very iRobot. It's very iRobot-ish.
Yeah.
With the design.
Like they're trying to tell us something and shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
You know, I have lyrics in booklets and stuff like that. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying?
Grand Central Station, right? Larry Graham from that legendary group.
Right. I definitely need to get that first album from Grand Central Station and shit. Um, but yes, like I said before, this album has 17 tracks, just straight up raw hip hop right here and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna begin with like the first track, which is like Eternal and stuff like that. Very simple beat. Yeah, the members just chanting leaders of the new school, leaders like just letting it be known like who they are. And you know, just from that, you can just feel 1993 when it comes to this album and stuff like that too already. So I like the beat, and that's where to kick off the album. To be real with you,
The beat was I like the beat. One of the very few things I like about this album. Some of the production was good. There's other things I didn't care for, but this the intro was cool. I like the beat for that.
yeah, that intro was very dope and shit too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me when KRS One did the KRS One attacks from Return of the Boom Bap and stuff like that, where he had pretty much just ripping classic BDP songs and stuff like that too, which I felt that was a unique track right there. You know what I'm saying? Next track we got is where we at? Where we at? Understanding the Mind in the Eye. Very, very, very dope track right here. You know what I'm saying? Charlie Brown actually did the beat for this one. You know what I'm saying? And this Busta and Dinko letting the motherfucker know the meaning, why they called it time and stuff like that too. You know what I'm saying? I feel like with the back and forth and stuff like that, it might catch people off guard about what they were trying to talk about and stuff like that too. The beat definitely sounded like something that I can see Tribe doing for Midnight Marauders and stuff like that. You know, just that more jazzy, atmospheric feel to it and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Very, 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 very good song. It's not a great song, but it's a very good song. Oh shit! Did I just actually kick you out?
Yes, I think you did.
My fault. My fault. I was trying to fix my mouse up. I didn't realize what I did. But you heard what I said, right?
No, you're saying something about this the song.
Yeah, I was. Long story short, I said Charlie Brown did the beat. I felt like they were trying to explain what the time meant, but they were just so back and forth and so out there. It might catch people off guard and stuff like that too. You know what I'm saying? But I did feel like the beat definitely had like a Midnight Marauders feel to it, just a more jazzy, atmospheric kind of feel to it. It's not a great song, but a good song.
I like the beat. We had Buster saying, you better understand yourself before you try to understand others at the end of the song. I didn't know what they were saying
Yeah.
on the track. Like, I didn't. I like the beat though, but what they're actually saying, I didn't. To me, I just was like they were like all over the place.
Yeah, that's how I felt about it too. You know what I'm saying? And that's and if I did have to make a slight complaint about this record, I felt like with this record they were trying to go for the more conscious kind of route and stuff like that too, but with a harder edge. But at the same time, it wasn't execution right because it was just like they were like like you know what I'm saying. But
Yeah,
again,
yeah.
I feel like they did step the game up. MCing, which I'm gonna talk more about that when we finish up the record and stuff like that too. Track number 3, Syntax Era. Vibe Miss Backspin did the beat to this one and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? This was a pretty good song right here. You know what I'm saying? Again, Backspin definitely did the dope beat to this one, like I mentioned. Pretty straight record.
It was dope. One of the very few songs I like on this album. It was and had a dope beat, and this reminded me of LONS. This reminded me of them. Like I'm like,
Yeah.
yo, I'm not doing that on every song on here though. You know what I'm saying? But Syntax Error was actually, it actually sounded like a group song. Like, okay, I like this.
Right. I definitely agree with you about that point. I feel like this should have started off the album, in my personal opinion. But
Right.
well,
Yeah,
I feel
I
like
think
the
so.
next song we're going to talk about should have started off the album. But and that's of course classic material. One of my favorite Leaders of the New School songs. Honestly, the Diamond D remix. Oh shit, man! One of Diamond's best remixes I've ever heard. You know, there's a story with that remix though. He finished the beat, and he actually did this interview on a Complex years ago. He finished the beat,
Mm.
and he wasn't satisfied with how high the hi-hat sounded, and he got mad at the engineer because he already released the song or sent the song to be released for the single and stuff like that too. And Diamond D, he didn't like the remix because of how high that hi-hat sounded and shit like that too. So but me personally, all respect to Diamond D, I feel like the hi-hat was what really made that beat and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? It
Right.
definitely gave it more life and shit like that too. Not saying that the album version is bad itself, because the album version is very good. You know what I'm saying? This definitely was a very strong track. You know, classic, bust around. I love that record and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? There's a line I want to say Dinko said where he says, "Consider the inner outer. Don't know if you're outer. Got a seat and eat a Peter. What you're saying after hours. Players pop pills, pop stars, blunt fantastic. The dramatics coming running up to me. Like very, very dope track right there. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, very dope.
I don't think this was classic material at all.
Oh, you got you gotta be
No,
lying.
I don't.
Come on.
Never liked
If
the
there was
song.
one song,
Never liked the
one
song.
song
I
now.
remember when I saw the video back in the day, I never liked the song. And for a single, no. They needed Diamond D for this album. That's what they needed. They needed Diamond D for this album. I don't think it was a classic material. This should have been not classic material. It's not a classic song to me. Not for a single. Like with like What's Next to me is the best record on this album. That was the first single, and then they followed up with this. I'm like, this is the single. So in other words, you're gonna drop this single for me to go to the record store and buy this album, right? Because I'm not gonna buy it just off of What's Next. What's next after What's Next was this song, and I'm like, yo, I don't like this. I didn't like the beat. I just thought the beat it don't match up their energy and their flow. You know what I'm saying? At least for me, I'm like, I know you love this song, but when I hear the beat, it's like this to me don't sound like a Leaders of the New School beat. You know what I'm saying?
You know what?
It was more like the beat is more sinister, it's more darker. That's not them.
And I'm not mad about that because, you know, this song definitely had its acquired taste when it comes to the leaders and the diehard leaders of the New School fans. But
when
at
you
the
play
same
this,
time,
when you play this album, you're playing this first.
you said what?
When you play this album, you're playing this first. This classic material.
I mean, it's one of my go-to tracks when I wanted to hear the album.
Okay. I didn't like it.
But at the same time,
mm-hmm.
At the same time, I prefer the Diamond D remix. At the same time,
that's why I say they needed Diamond D for the album. Because he was great at remixes too. I'm like if they were, I mean, you want boom bap, you go to Diamond D, you go to Finesse, Showbiz, any one of them from DITC.
right?
You know what I'm saying? I never cared for the beat though. I'm just like, and as a single, I'm like, why? Why not Syntax Error? That was a better song to me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
But
like I said, like
to
this album is very different from the first one. You know what I'm saying? Like they got a little bit older. This was 93. We were like in the, Death Row was running the charts at that time. I don't know if they were influenced by I hope they wasn't, because they made a mistake if that's the case. A lot of this shit on here I don't care for.
Shit. But at the same time, I
I'm
get,
not
I
shitting
get.
on them. I love LONS. I'm not shitting on them. I'm just saying it's a drastic change from the
Yeah.
first album to the second. Just like with the Fugees, when you hear Blunted on Reality, drastic change from that album to the score. And that was for the better. This is like in reverse, where the better album was the first one to me, and then we went to this album.
And don't get me wrong, I respect your opinion. I hear your point about this
I'm
too.
interested in seeing what you're gonna rate this. I just want to hear what you're gonna rate it.
Okay.
I just want to
We'll
hear
see.
that.
All right. Next track. Where we at? Daily Reminder. This one was okay. You know what I'm saying? Not really one of my favorite records on this album, but it was a pretty okay track and shit.
I don't like it. I don't like the beat.
You don't like it?
To me, when I hear these songs on this album, the camaraderie is not there. Like you could tell they were going through shit on here, because the first album they sounded like they were loving what they were doing. They were loving each other's company. I'm not hearing that on this album. And this is before the internet, mind you. So back then we didn't hear nothing about. I never heard nothing about them beefing and all that until after Busta left the group. So it's like that's what, like 90, 95, 96 when he started doing the features and stuff. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't know all this stuff was going on back then. Until years later, we get on the internet and you start hearing stories about how they were beefing and him and Charlie came to blows. I didn't know nothing about that when this album came out in 93. But just hearing this album back then, I'm like, yo, they don't sound happy. There's no camaraderie on and no, they don't have the same energy like they did on the first album. And I think a lot of the good beats on this album went to waste because of that. Like I'm not hearing, and then on top of that, you had Milo that was more featured on the songs. Where on the first album he wasn't featured like that.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that with the next song too. Quarter to Cutthroat, very dope track right here. Again, very dope track right here. Like Try mentioned, Milo, the DJ, cut a verse on this one and stuff like that too. You know what I'm saying? But again, this is mostly, these are the new school show. I definitely love Charlie Brown. Charlie Brown did his thing, but I feel like Busta Rhymes again stole the show with the last verse and stuff like that too. Very, very, very dope song right here.
I like the beat. Thought the beat was dope. I like the beat. I think the beat was dope. Again, I don't know. Maybe I don't want to say it was a problem. Maybe having Milo come more into the forefront was an issue with like the group dynamics. Maybe, you know what I'm saying? Because like I remember like at that time when they were like going around different shows and performing, Milo was there with them, so it was for them now instead of just three. And maybe that has something to do with the group dynamics too. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, I like that they included Milo, in it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, no, I'm serious. I like that they included. I mean, he was a DJ for them, right?
No, I'm not on TV.
Oh, I'm like the fact that he was the DJ and then he started rhyming and it was like a different look to the group. I don't know. Something was definitely off with them with this album. But I like the beat for this.
Definitely.
Sam said same thing with Redman. What are we talking about here? Same thing with Redman. Rapping with Redman. He said same thing with Redman. I don't know what that means.
I don't know what it means either. And he'll probably say it. Next track, Connections. Sick ass fucking song right here, in my opinion, and shit too. Again, just stepping that game up as MCs and stuff like that too. You know what I'm saying? Very, very, very dope joints. I love it.
I didn't like it.
Got you. All right. Next track, What's Next? Another strong single right here. You know what I'm saying? Dingo D did the production for this one. and stuff like that too. And yeah, Cut Master Milo again did a verse on this record right here too. You know what I'm saying? This time instead of having Buster end off the verse, it was Dinko that ended it off and stuff like that. But again, Buster showed why he's a hip hop legend that he is, because he was definitely going in. I love the sound line where he says, "That's when I turn Slayer, and you better say a prayer. Open your eyes, rise. Yes, I've come to civilize. Mr. Parasite, I got your big surprise. Mad effective as you vision my perspective, hot shot." You know what I'm saying? Just them on the hardcore kind of tip and shit like that too. You know what I'm saying? I like it. This was a dope single.
I like this song. This when I saw the video with them and they're like in the middle of the street and they just kicking balls and they for whatever reason they showed like they were enjoying each other's company in the video. Yeah, I'm like, this is the leader song I like. I like this shit right here. I wish the whole album was like this. You know what I'm saying? Buster did his thing. I love Dinko's verse. Charlie Brown. Everybody came through. Milo. Everybody killed it to me. This was a great record on here.
Right. Yeah. I can definitely see like why this single was a fan favorite. Well, it's still a fan favorite with a lot of motherfuckers and shit too. You know what I'm saying? Um, Honestly, off topic, this hip hop review and shit like that is definitely one of the best we've done so far. I'm thinking about doing another hip hop review before De La, but I'll think about it. Um, but yeah, this single was a very dope single and shit too. You know what I'm saying? Love the beat to it. Again, and this song also had a very dope remix as well too. So yeah,
Yeah.
good try.
Yes.
All right. Next track, dropping it for 1990 ever. It's basically just an instrumental with songs thrown here and there just to just this is pretty much a DJ interlude. That's all I'm gonna say really.
Yeah, it was cool. It was short. It was like a I can't even call it an interlude. It was like 20 seconds or something like that. Like a little skit. I don't really think it was needed for the album.
Right. All right. Next track. Um. Oh yeah. Time will tell. Yeah. Another very cool track right here. This one pretty much also features Rampage on the production, Rampage and Backspin and stuff like that too. You know what I'm saying? I feel like the beat definitely saved the show on this record right here. You know what I'm saying? Pretty cool track.
I like the beat. The beat was fire. They did their thing on here. But this was a single, right?
Time will tell. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, this was dope. I like this track.
Next track, Bass is Loaded. My favorite track off this whole album. Busta Rhymes did a production on this one and stuff like that too. You know what I'm saying? Very, very, very heavy bass and shit like that. Very, like this is a song basically played for the Jeeps. That's all I gotta say. This is something played for the
Yeah.
Jeeps and shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It definitely reminds me of something I would have definitely heard on Eric Sermon's No Pressure album. Very underrated album, by the way, and shit too.
Yeah.
So yeah, this was a very hot joint.
Maybe they should have had Eric Sermon do some stuff for them at that time. You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying? Like 93 Eric Sermon, No Pressure. Man. he was the best to me.
yes.
I like the beat. The beat was definitely. I think maybe that's what it is. I think I wasn't expecting the bass heavy, Jeep production. It was
Right.
just different for them, and they were just bombarding you with like bars, and maybe that's what it is. It wasn't this album is not really. It's not based on concepts like the first album was. You know what I mean? That don't mean it worked for them though, but I just felt like I would have went a different route with the sound though. I don't think they should have. It had to be all about Jeep heavy beats
Right.
and all that. You know.
Yeah, I definitely feel your point about that. All right. Next song, Spontaneous, 13 MCs Deep. You know what I'm saying? This was pretty much like a posse cut between like early Flip Mode members and shit like that, some of their homies. I'm not gonna hold you. Not gonna hold you and shit. Not every MC definitely did their thing. Some MCs definitely I could have cared less about their verses, just keeping it a
Right.
buck and stuff like that too. I know a lot of fans love this record from Leaders of the New School and stuff like that too. I like it, but it's not really among my favorites that they've ever done and
Right.
shit like that. I feel like if they would have maybe kept maybe 3 or 4 and stuff like that, it could have been much better. But this one, this is a fan favorite, so I'm not really going to disregard it, but it's not really among my favorites on the record.
I think Rampage killed it. I've always been a fan of Rampage. I liked his stuff from the first album, and I think he killed it. The other people, the other MCs were cool. You know, I mean, it's just like I just felt like there was just who could outdo the next one when it came to bars. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And I think the whole album, kind of like showed that. Which member is your favorite when it comes to bars? You know what I'm saying? Like it seemed like they were in competition with each other.
Definitely. Yeah, man. I definitely see your point about that shit. You know what I'm saying? Um,
Yeah.
Next track we got. Oh, by the way, Sam Seaver, he did the beat to that one and stuff like that too. You know what I'm saying? Next one we got is Noisy Meditation and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Again, another dope song that Busta produced and stuff like that too. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, man. Like people be sleeping on Busta on the beats and shit too. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, pretty cool song.
Yeah, I didn't care for it. It was I don't know. Is this? I'm not a fan of this album like that, yo. It's just some beats were fire, but they didn't sound good on some of those beats. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Got you. All right. Next track, The End Is Near. Um, Pretty solid record and stuff like that. Probably one of my least favorite from the album and stuff too. So it's alright.
The end is near.
Yeah, The End Is Near.
How did you feel about the song?
I just said it was okay. One of my least favorites from the album.
I think like when you look at the title, I think this is like a precursor to what Busta was gonna bring us with his solo stuff.
Yeah,
With the whole
yeah,
apocalyptic themes and Armageddon in the world type of shit. I'm like this would have fit well on his albums, on his solo albums, on the Coming. This could have been like the last track on the Coming. I like the beat. I thought the beat was dope. It was good.
yeah. Definitely a good beat. All right. Next track, Xerox. Again, this was a little interlude and stuff like that. They're just doing some chanting and shit too. I feel like they could have rhymed over this beat, honestly. But it is
Right.
what it is.
What's a Xerox? Xerox. What's that about?
Shit. Dude, I don't even know. Dude, I don't have any line. Shit.
The difference. Track 16.
Oh, I thought you were going to say your stuff about Xerox. Okay.
I
Yeah.
mean, it's a beat. It's nothing really to say. I just want to know, like, why the title? Like, what's the Xerox? Why the title for that? You know,
Mm. All right, but the difference, again, this was a pretty dope track again. Busta did this beat as well and shit too, which I felt like this beat definitely is probably my favorite beat Busta done on the album and stuff like that too. I feel like he should have done more production for this album as well too. I feel like he definitely got a nice ear for beats and stuff like that too. That and of course Milo also did a verse on this record too. So yeah,
it was cool. It was alright. I don't know if
all
I would
right,
have Busta do. I had like a Diamond D and Eric Sermon and them do some stuff on here.
right,
You know,
all right. And the last song, the final solution. You know what I'm saying? Just Busta talking about what time really means and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Self-explanatory. Nice way to end off the album.
it was okay.
Got you. All right, my thoughts on this record. Um, but I do feel like it is an improvement over the first album. I
You do.
also feel, but I'm gonna get into that. I'm gonna get into that. I also feel like there were still some things that had to be addressed and stuff. For one, I do feel like conceptually this album falls short than Future Without a Past. Like I feel like with this album they focus more on, just saying the dopest rhymes and stuff like that, you know what I'm saying, just going back and forth. Cause one thing, like I said, I do agree with you is the fact that the first album you can tell they're all having fun. With this album, it's like it's like a double-edged sword. Like lyrically, I feel like they were getting better, but at the same time the chemistry was falling flat. But at the same time, I do feel like it did bring out some of my favorite songs that they've ever came out with, like classic material, What's Next, Bases Loaded, excuse me, Syntax Era, even some of my top favorite tracks and shit too. You know what I'm saying? But I feel like with Busta Rhymes being Busta Rhymes, pretty much, it did cause like a lot of jealousy, and I feel like there were certain tracks where like Charlie Brown was even trying to match that energy and stuff like that too. You know what I'm saying? And so, like I said before, like just because I say this was an improvement, I feel like they would still need to get something other together and stuff like that too. You know what I'm saying? The production, I feel like the production again screamed 19. The production screamed 1993 and stuff like that too. Is like definitely that more hardcore apocalyptic kind of feel to it and stuff
Right.
like that too, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, some beats did kind of sound the same to an extent, you know what I'm saying? So my overall score, and I thought long and hard about this, I'm gonna give this a 4.2. 4.2 out of 5.
I don't like this
Like I
album.
said, it's not a classic,
No.
not a bad album, but at the same time, it still has something worthwhile.
A lot of
Dartmouth
people
said,
love this album. Apparently, like, I'm seeing 4.5 mics for this. I'm not hearing it. I'm not here. There's nothing on this album that I'm hearing that makes it a 4.5. I'm not hearing it. Not the production, and there was some good beats on it, but it's 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 not. If they were going in a different direction with this album from the first one, they made a mistake to me. I'm not hearing nothing of classic material. They have a song called Classic Material, and to me, it don't sound like a classic. You know, there was clearly problems with this group when they were making this album. You can tell. It's so obvious. You know what I'm saying? Like they went darker with this album. Darker don't necessarily mean it's gonna be better. There's certain artists that can pull that off. You know what I'm saying? I don't think for them going the dark route was it should have happened. I don't think that's their sound. You know what I'm saying? I just didn't like it, man. It's just a lot of the shit they were singing. They were just all over the place lyrically. I'm not hearing that they wasn't syncing as a group, and you know what I'm saying? Is you know what I mean? I just wasn't hearing it. I was not hearing the greatness that I heard on the first album. And even that to me was a slept on album. It shouldn't have been slept on, but it was a different sound for them that I didn't care for it. You know what I mean? And a lot of people love it. Like Dartmouth singing pre Wu-Tang beats.
I don't know. I'm not gonna
hear Wu-Tang on here. Wu-Tang have their own sound. Like with them, nobody sounded like them. No RZA's production, nobody sounded like RZA. You know what I'm saying? I don't hear Wu-Tang on here. You know what I'm saying? You know, having Milo featured more was that an issue to you? Or was that good? Was that like a good addition to include him on a lot of the songs?
Again, I feel like his inclusion was meant to really just bring the group musically together and to soften the internal tension.
Mm.
But at the same time, he didn't really impress me as a rapper like that. Just being keeping him.
But see, like you wouldn't even know he was the DJ because he had the same energy with them performing. You know what I'm saying? Like he looked like an artist.
Right.
And I thought that was the good thing about this was like including Milo more on the songs that we didn't have him on the first album like that. You know what I'm saying? But other than that, it's like I don't like the production on here. Like I don't think the beats was for them. Like the beats I would have given to other artists. I don't think they serve their purpose for them. You know what I'm saying? The songs for me it just was flat. It was like, where were they going with this? Like you named your sophomore album The End of Mind's Eye. Where were you going with this conceptually? That's my thing. It's like when you know what I'm saying, they had like the abbreviation for the album. They were on some next level shit with this. I wasn't hearing it though. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't hearing the next level shit for this album. You know what I mean? And, you know, I love them. I love Leaders. You know, all 4 members. I just don't like this album, man. And you know, was it a sophomore jinx? I don't know. I don't even remember what the Source and all those magazines rated it back then, but that's how I took it. Like it was like just a sophomore jinx, and then later on you come to find out that they had these internal issues and all that, and then Busta went solo. But like what you said earlier, they needed more albums. I don't think they should have ended off with this album. Like we needed a 3rd or 4th album from LONS. I mean, Wu could kill any beats. That's not saying much. Like you put Master Killer or Deck on these beats, they would slaughter these beats. That's just the type of caliber MC that they are. I'm just saying I don't think necessarily the beats were for the group in itself. It could have, you know, Busta probably could have used a lot of these beats for his own solo projects. You know what I'm saying? But I don't feel like the sound matches them. You know what I'm saying? I was expecting more. I don't even want to say native tongue production. Like I'm thinking like Prince Paul and you know the Uma. You know what I'm saying? But I think they would have served better on those type of beats than the ones that was on this album.
Yeah, respect. I definitely respect your opinion on that part. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, it's about to be 3 o'clock. I'm gonna actually end off this video right here. I see a lot of people give these albums like dope ratings and stuff like that too. You know what I'm saying?
Chino XL album was great, and he didn't have no big name producers. He had like, but again, but he like the way that he had those beats, like he told stories with those beats. They didn't do that on this album.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Maybe that was missing also. Where was the stories like we got on Sob Story in Case of the PTA? We didn't get that on here.
Yeah, that's why I said conceptually this album fell short.
Right. Hey, but y'all love it.
But
That's
yeah.
great. That's great. Yeah, I always like to hear people's different opinions on these albums. So
Right. So the next I think the next time we might talk is a Bronx Tale movie review. That's gonna be this upcoming Saturday and shit like that.
dope.
And then this Sunday is gonna be a double review between De La's AOI series albums and stuff too. You know what I'm saying? Really
One and
can't
two?
wait to talk. Yeah,
Okay.
really can't wait to talk about those and shit like that. And of course, you know we got the disco month coming up and stuff too. You know what? Since it's already March, I'm debating if I want to. I'll let you know if I want to do a review either Friday or some shit like that. I'll let you know tomorrow.
Okay.
Let me see how my schedule is.
You doing a
Appreciate.
disco review on Friday?
Yeah, because I want to start it off with Saturday Night Fever soundtrack.
Oh yeah, classic.
Yeah, because I know tomorrow I gotta work on some stuff tomorrow.
Okay.
But I'll let you know tomorrow afternoon what my schedule is for Friday.
Cool.
But yeah, other than that, thank y'all so much for tuning in with us and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? I will see y'all later. Appreciate this tribe. Make sure y'all subscribe. Peace.
Peace.